Imagine spending nearly a decade supporting the love of your life, driving him everywhere, paying his tuition, helping him chase his dream job. Then one night, with a single tap of a phone, you discover he's been cheating on you with multiple men. One of them? A registered sex offender. That betrayal could have broken me. Instead, I made sure his life and the lives of every man he cheated with fell apart piece by piece. If you've ever been betrayed, if you've ever wanted justice when someone thought they could shatter you and walk away, then stick around. This is one of the most nuclear revenge stories you'll ever hear. Hit that subscribe button, drop a like, and share your own satisfying revenge stories in the comments. Because this is the definition of mess around and find out. Let's get into it. I met Ryan back in 2012, just after I turned 30. Up to that point, I'd only ever dated women. But I came out as bisexual at 28, and let's just say, my 29th year was busy. A lot of casual hookups, a few short flings, nothing serious. Honestly, I figured I'd probably end up with a woman. Because despite my attraction to men, I never thought I'd feel that same in-love connection with one. Until Ryan. From our very first date, I felt something rare, those butterflies. That obsession of wanting to spend every waking moment with him. And he fell for me just as hard. On that first date, Ryan admitted something that could have scared anyone else away. He was legally blind from a genetic disorder, and it was only going to get worse. He told me most guys didn't stick around. No one wanted to be his driver forever. But I had grown up with a brother in a wheelchair who'd never walked or talked because of meningitis. Compared to that, Ryan's blindness wasn't a deal breaker. If anything, it made me want to be there for him more, and so we built a life together. Ryan had always wanted to be a teacher, but with his vision loss, he'd lost confidence. He worked part-time in retail, barely scraping by. I told him that if we were serious, he needed to do something with his life, and I'd help him. So I did. For the next 7 years, I supported him. I paid for community college, then university, then his teaching certification program. I drove him thousands of miles. I spent hundreds on public transportation for him, and I never complained because I believed in him, and I believed in us. By 2019, we were engaged to be married. He was student teaching, just months away from becoming a certified teacher. Our families loved us. My family adored him. Everything looked perfect, until the pandemic hit. It was March 2020, third day of lockdown. Ryan handed me his phone to show me something on Instagram. I fat-thumbed the screen, accidentally tapped back into his messages, and there it was. A name I recognized. His ex, Johnny Curious, I clicked, and my blood ran cold. Dirty talk. Pictures. Directions to my house. Ryan reassuring Johnny not to worry about me because he was tracking my location on Find My Friends. I felt like the air had been ripped out of the room. My hands started shaking. I screamed, demanding answers. And Ryan confessed. He admitted Johnny had come over. Twice. They didn't use protection. That was bad enough. But then more came tumbling out. He admitted to sleeping with his straight cousin, Tyler. Twice. Again, no protection. He admitted to another guy, Tomas, someone I'd specifically told him not to talk to. Why? Because Tomas was a registered sex offender. Convicted of assaulting a 16-year-old, Ryan claimed he didn't know. My family all knew. He was the only one who didn't. It felt like my world collapsed. Everything we built, everything I sacrificed, it meant nothing to him, and it got worse. When I threatened to pull his phone records from AT&T, he finally admitted to the first affair. A guy named Frankie. He met Frankie the day after his graduation in 2018, while I was passed out drunk on our couch from celebrating. Ryan was angry horny, downloaded Grindr, and slept with Frankie in his car in a church parking lot. Across the street from a school, and for the next 2 years, he kept hooking up with Frankie in our condo, in our bed. While I was at work, I wanted to vomit. I wanted to rip my skin off. My whole body shook with rage. I couldn't stay another second. I threw Ryan in the car and drove him to his parents' house. I made him confess what he'd done so they knew why he was moving back in. While he cried inside, I sat in the driveway ordering phone records, cutting off his cell service, stopping payment on his tuition check, and locking him out of all his accounts. I wasn't done. Oh no, the betrayal was too deep. He hadn't just broken my heart. He'd disrespected me, endangered my health, and destroyed my home. And that's when my revenge began. Before deleting his social media, I screenshot the entire conversation with his ex, Johnny. Then I mailed it to Johnny's fiancé. She deserved the truth. She deserved to get tested. She broke off the engagement. Kicked Johnny out, one down. I remembered Ryan's hookups with Thomas, the registered sex offender, in that church parking lot. I went to the church, explained everything, and asked about security footage. They had a 2-year digital loop. It was April 2020. Thomas had been there in April 2019, bingo. They pulled the footage. Clear as day. Thomas, violating parole. Indecent exposure. Within a month, he was locked up again. 2 down. Then there was Frankie. His smug attitude when I confronted him made my blood boil. But I had dirt. I found out Frankie had a job requiring a security clearance. He also had unpaid debts and collection agencies chasing him. Problem was, his paperwork was a mess. 2 last names went by his middle name, hard to track. So I handed his employer and current info directly to the collectors. And I added a copy of his police report for indecent exposure in that same parking lot. He pled guilty, got fined in community service. But worse for him, he lost his clearance, lost his job. 3 down, Ryan's cousin Tyler. Yeah, the engaged cousin he slept with. Using Ryan's Facebook, I accidentally let his family know. It spread like wildfire. Tyler panicked, called me, desperate to reach Ryan. I laughed. You shouldn't screw your cousins, especially when they're engaged, and especially not in my house. 4 down. Finally, the pièce de résistance. Ryan. I'd already stopped payment on his tuition, but his family might have bailed him out to finish. Problem for him? Teachers are mandated reporters, and part of certification means upholding moral character. So I gathered the police reports, the church security footage, still shots of Ryan's face, and sent it all to his school district and to the Commission on Teacher Credentials. That was the end. His career as a teacher? Dead before it started. 5 down. For months, I stayed in that condo, stewing, watching all 5 of their lives implode. Ryan, careerless, family ashamed, crawling back to square one. His ex dumped and disgraced. Thomas back in jail. Frankie jobless, wages garnished. Tyler humiliated by his family. And me? Bitter, broken, but free. Eventually, I sold the condo, made a profit, and moved to the Pacific Northwest for a fresh start. Therapy didn't help much at first, but later I tried ketamine infusion therapy for PTSD. 6 sessions, and it was like magic. I finally let go of the anger, and now I'm happily married again. To someone who deserves me, Ryan thought he could betray me, use me, and walk into his dream career like nothing happened. Instead, he lost it all. Every single person he cheated with faced consequences, and me, I got my closure. There's no sweeter justice than watching people who tried to destroy you destroy themselves, with just a little nudge in the right direction. Revenge doesn't undo the betrayal. It doesn't erase the pain, but sometimes it restores balance. Ryan made his choices. I just made sure he lived with them. And in the end, I walked away stronger, freer, and finally at peace. So what do you think? Was this the ultimate nuclear revenge? Or would you have done something different? Let me know in the comments. And if you enjoyed this story, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share it with someone who needs to see what happens when cheaters get caught. Until next time, remember, betrayal might sting, but karma hits harder.